probably exciting for me to introduce Chris. And
so I did grow up in Modesto, California, born and raised, although I've lived in a couple different areas down in Los Angeles. We have a good amount of family down there. Our parents and our family is from Michoacán, Mexico. And a lot of them immigrated here at different times. My mother actually was the first one that came over when she was about 17. So a really young age for a young woman to kind of go on her own. And as we all know, that trek of coming over here, once in a while we discuss her experiences, you know, good and bad, what it took to get here and make a better life for us. And so I've always tried to keep that with myself, knowing that privileged stance that I have, that I grew up in the United States, in California, where as much problems as we think we have, and we do, there are people that have it a lot worse, have a lot more going on. And so I try to keep a little humility in the brand and in my life. And that's kind of a philosophy that my family tends to have. They're very sympathetic people, very intelligent people. And I try to kind of emulate what they have going on.
White, let's go ahead and pour the white, and then Chris will tell us about the wine as we drink. Then we'll go ahead and hear more about your story, Chris. So,
sure. This first wine here is a white blend of Albarino and Grenache Blanc. So Albarino is predominantly from Spain. That's where it's associated with. It's literally translates to the white grape down by the river. And then the Grenache Blanc is a French grape historically, although all those varieties are grown all over the world now, wherever grapes are grown. So I took this blend together, fermented them separately. So here in the Central Valley, because it's so warm, we can definitely mature grapes a little quicker, get higher sugars, which means higher alcohol. So as a winemaker, that means that you just got to keep an eye on your sugars and acids. And that's really what I did behind this white wine is my decision to pick wasn't on sugar, it was on acid. As soon as I got an acid profile that I thought I was going to like, pulled the grapes in, 100% hand-picked, steel tank fermented, no oak, and then blended to taste. So for this first vintage, it's 60% Albarino and 40% Grenache Blanc. A large part of my family, one side, they set roots in different parts of LA. Right now, a lot of them live in Long Beach, but anywhere from Riverside to different suburbs within Los Angeles. I lived there as a kid at different times of the year. I lived in like Compton, Linwood, some areas up there in Watts when I was younger. But my mom got me out of there because I was always getting beat up. I was a kid from the north, and they knew that, right? So it didn't go so well for me. So she's like, you know what, we got to get you back up north so you can survive this thing. So I'm lucky she did. About 7 years ago, I was working in physical therapy. I thought, well, I got to go get my doctorate in this physical therapy. And Gallo and Livingston. So Gallo is out of Modesto, the biggest family-owned winery in the world, operates out of Modesto, and they have satellite wineries. One of them is in a small town. And I took an entry-level paid job there because I thought, well, I'm going to have to pay for school. I left, and I went up to Lodi, California. And so that's another big winemaking region. And I just took a pay cut and a position cut to just get in somewhere. And that's where I started learning. And it's a winery called Clinker Brick. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Clinker Brick. Pretty big Zinfandel producer. We do a lot of big reds all over the country. We're international. So you might have come across that brand. Once you actually get into it and you dedicate years of your life to something that won't even be enjoyed for 3 years later, you start getting the nuances of like, hey, this is there's artistry to this and there's science. So it appeals to a lot of what I like. I like the scientific part, but I don't want to be ruled by numbers. I love the artistry in it, but I'm also grounded enough to know that we can be a little more not as exclusive. So that's what led me to make this brand, is that my experience in the wine industry has been, they don't exclude Latinos, but they don't necessarily, they don't cater to us, they don't look for us, and we're the biggest growing demographic in California and the United States as well. So our buying power is going up, and we're a part of the history of this industry. It was built on our backs, on our ancestors' backs, not my back, but people that put in years of work and they were compensated. But then again, I know a lot of people right now that work in cellars, but because of maybe a language barrier, they can never reach that next level of becoming a winemaker. But when you taste with them, when you talk to them about wine, they know very well what they like. They find faults. And when I was making my blends, I had someone come up like, hey, I remember this wine that we worked on. Do you remember when we picked it? You want to try that? And it helped. So what I decided is I took what I was already doing and in a community making wine for a big company, and I was just an assistant winemaker. I thought, well, if Latinos aren't included and we're not part of the conversation, and we are only in a small amount, but nowhere outside of Napa and Sonoma, really, who's going to do it? And so I decided it was going to be me. And that's how it started about a year and a half ago. I just decided, you know, if I see a need, then maybe I got to be the one to fill it, really.
Well, there you go. You know, one of the things that we really enjoy, you know, besides what's in the bottle, is the outside of the bottle. Can you tell us a little bit about the design, the creativity? I mean, I read what the bottle says, but, I mean, you know, I guess you could have named your brand anything, and you decided to say soda. So where did that come from?
I know, I tend to always know what I don't want. I don't always know what I specifically want, right? So I know I didn't want to have my name blasted on a bottle, which is common, you know. I have a lot of respect for my family and my name, but I wanted something that really appealed to a lot of people, not just having my last name on there. So when I started going through ideas of what ties in our history and my family, I mean, it's a daunting task to think, how can I effectively communicate that I'm a product of proud Latino immigrants, but very much an American-born person that has grown up in American pop culture. And so within people like me, there's a big like a nostalgia factor where we now respect maybe what we didn't before, you know. So the history came into play, started tossing around some ideas, and someone had told me, well, you know, like the Aztec is a big empire that existed in the areas that we're from. What about that? So as we explored it, the myth of the 5 sons came through. I don't know if anybody knows. Do you guys know about the 5 sons that they kind of...
No, tell us the history. Tell us where that came from.
So the Aztecs believed that they were the people of the people of the sun, and so they were charged with dominating as much of the land as possible because they were the chosen people. And so they believed the world had been created and destroyed in 4 different cycles before them for 4 different reasons. Now their new god had chosen them to be the caretakers of the earth, and so they believed they were in the empire of the 5th son. So as we progress to Latinos now, there's a lot of things that come with the Aztec culture that I don't necessarily agree with when it came to sacrifice and all that, right? So we're not going to glorify that, but what is our interpretation as Latinos as we go forward? And so Seis Soles to me is just that new vanguard, a whole new generation that includes all of us that are now, as Latinos, growing as a people, as a force here in the United States, and we're eco-conscious, we're politically conscious, and we're a part of this fabric. And that's what I believe that Seis Soles to me believes. But I also like to leave it open for interpretation for people. What does Seis Soles mean to you? What is your interpretation of as a Latino in this space, right? So it's kind of open as well.
But who are some of the winemakers? I mean, who inspires you? Who are some of the winemakers out there that you say, you know what, that's somebody that I inspire to? You have some winemakers in this country or other countries?
I think although I've experienced a lot of grapes, when it comes to winemakers, I haven't been exposed as much. So what I think the linchpin for me was that when I took my job at Clinker Brick, the head winemaker, he's from Belize. Oh. The only Belizean winemaker in the world that we know of, at least. Yeah. So he lived in Belize, grew up there, and then would come to the United States and work a couple harvests, and then our top advisor had kind of gotten to know him, and he's like, man, you taste wine really well. He's very similar to the people that I spoke about earlier that have the knack. They just don't have the language for it to become a winemaker. But he did. He's a really interesting guy, very aggressive when he knows what he likes. And so he's the one that inspires me, right? So he decided to stick around like every harvest. I think he said he only did it because he wanted some rum money when he went back to Belize. And but as he grew older, he became the winemaker, so he has no formal education, didn't go to Davis or anything like that. He just learned by becoming up through the back roads, really, right? So it's not a very traditional route for someone to become a winemaker. And that's exactly the route I took. When I got there, he's like, look, I see the same things in you. If you continue to do a good job for me, I'll share all the knowledge I have. And that's what happened. So we built a partnership, and he became my mentor. And so his name is Joseph Smith, of all names, but he is from Belize. Yeah. But he's my inspiration in a sense when it comes to a winemaker. And then his mentor, his name is Barry Nico. Nico Family Wines is another old name in winemaking. He has longer, bigger, established roots, but he's a very generous person. So I was just fortunate to come across two very generous people that decided that I was worth teaching, and they allowed me to ask questions, and that's how it came to be. So those are the people, those who are inspiring me. Other winemakers that inspire me, not necessarily. I'm inspired by the idea that when I did see Napa Sonoma Mexican American Vintners Association, so MAVA, I did see, like, look, people are doing it, and they might be a couple generations here. They have a couple different things going on, but Mexicanos are doing it, Latinos are doing it, and that was very inspirational for me as well.
Wonderful, wonderful. What are some of the things that you hope that, you know, young Latino winemakers like yourself will accomplish in the future?
I think it's just opening doors. Like, I don't pretend to think that wine is incredibly serious. There are very much more serious things going on, but this is what I'm passionate about, and if we all just take what we're passionate about and make it accessible to people that historically it isn't accessible to, I think it's worth trying, right? So I'm not changing the world here or anything like that, but as a culture, for all Latinos, we enjoy food, we enjoy drinking, we enjoy family, we enjoy that experience. So why have we been left out of that conversation when it comes to wine? Why have we left ourselves out? Because I'm not even gonna pretend that it's just the wine industry. When I was launching this thing, the biggest roadblocks were people like Latinos and Mexicans tell me, like, man, we don't drink that tequila, cerveza, that's it. And I said, look, that's all good and well, but there's a thriving wine community right across the border in Mexico and Valle de Guadalupe. Right. So it's just a sense of geography and what we're used to. So it's a border issue. So we have huge gastronomical revolutions happening in Tijuana, Ensenada, all the way into Los Angeles. Everyone's experimenting with food and beer and mezcal and everything. But why hasn't wine happened yet? And I think a part of it is how exclusive it's meant to feel, and how out of range it is for a lot of people, right? Like, oh, you know, you don't have a refined palate for that in cuisine. But when we talk about Mexican cuisine, it's some of the most respected in the world. So I decided to kind of be a person that's going to take this next step, and that means maybe a couple other winemakers will feel empowered to go and start their thing. And now we have people of all different creeds, backgrounds, and ethnicities, and they're all getting involved, and it's a good thing to see, and I just want to be a part of that.
We're gonna go into the next wine. I don't know if everybody is drinking too slow or too quick, but we're gonna go into the Seisoles Red Blend. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful label there. And so, can you tell us about this particular blend that you've got here, Chris?
Yeah, this red blend is 60% Syrah, 40% Cabernet. It just happens to be the same percentages of the like the white, but for no specific reason. So Syrah and Cabernet are, like I said, Cabernet is the biggest amount that we grow here in Lodi. Syrah is a big blender that people use. They don't tend to label it on their bottles. It adds a lot of mid palate. So Syrah has a lot of earthy qualities. There's a lot of viscosity in there. It's not necessarily going to be big on tannin normally, but it will have good structure and fatness and roundness. Right. So I've always wanted to make a wine based out of that. And then I took some Lodi Cabernet to add a little bit of tannin. It has a mixture of French and American oak. So a little bit of that gritty tannin, that little bit of bite comes from that American oak specifically.
It's very, very high quality. Now this is how many cases of this are you producing?
That I produced 98 cases this first vintage. 98 cases.
So this is about as boutique as you can get. I mean, it's under 100.
Yeah, pretty much.
So this is actually a very rare wine when you think about it. I mean, you know, under 100 cases. That's that's what, a little less than 4 barrels total after you lose on it, right?
Any smaller, I'd be making it in buckets. So yeah.
Bob, I know Bob is somebody I respect for knowledge on wine, so I always look for him for questions. What are your thoughts, Bob?
I really like it. I always look for Syrahs that because I find that very hard. I find it very hard to find a Syrah that I like. Okay, and so I like that you blended it with Cab. I like the mouthfeel. It's kind of a little bit more on the silky side. I like that. I think I feel like I get some kind of some kind of dark fruit out of it. I'm not sure what it is, but I know I really enjoy this. And really, the price point for this is really it's really inexpensive. It's what they call a good QPR, right? Good quality price.
So, Chris, can you tell us about the Bordeaux blend?
Yeah, on this one I only made 50, and I'm down to about 18 cases, so it's going fast. I'm almost sold out, so I'll be looking to bottle this one soon. So you asked me earlier, and I didn't answer your question, Mike. I apologize.
Yeah, let's hear that.
Really, what dictates when I bottle is when my wine's running out. So this reserve will probably get rebottled within a month. The other red blend, I might do it just because it makes sense to do both of them at the same time. The rosé and the white, I can't do anything until we get 2020 grapes. So I won't do anything until probably at the earliest November, December, because we'll harvest in late July, early August, ferment to get everything ready. And by the time it's ready to bottle, they'll be closer to the end of the year. But this wine specifically, I want you to know the brand. I want you to know what to expect in that bottle. And then every time you get that bottle, it needs to be the same profile. So of the ones you see right now, they should taste like that every time, regardless what year. And I'm going to bring my experience to make that happen. So what I hope is that these 4 core wines will be what people bring to, that brings people to Seis Soles. And I'm going to make a wine club. And then if people join the wine club, about 2 to 3 times a year, I'll release just fun new stuff that I made that is very much dictated by weather and what happened. So the 4 wines will be very consistent, and then I'll make other things that are just fun and crazy to try.
Yeah. So, Chris, just a couple of final questions. Can you tell us, you've got a beautiful label, you've got some beautiful wines. What's the dream? Where do you see yourself in a couple of years?
The dream, man. The dream right now is I hope to grow this and have it available in restaurants near everybody that loves it, and online. I'm not going to have a tasting room now, especially after COVID shutting down every tasting room. It's not a focus of mine. I would love to grow this.
So what actually can we expect? And
I think you should expect maybe either a Tempranillo, a Portuguese blend, or a Sauvignon Blanc, or maybe all 3, depending. I'm working on a vineyard right now that someone has available. I'm going to go in there and decide if I want it or not. So those are some new fun things that you'll see. And once again, like my point, I think, is what I'm going to do is always make these core wines. And then if people join the wine club, they can enjoy and buy those fun little different wines. So every release is going to be an old favorite, and then something new. And with that something new, I'd love to include some, very unintimidating type of information of what this grape's about, where it's from, why I made it in the style I made it. Because I have an ideal situation where, okay, we're going to make a variety from France. We're going to make it taste like they do in France, and we're going to explain why. So for all of us that can't make it to those areas, we'll bring it to you. And that's already available, but maybe you don't know where to go, and it's not presented to you in a way that a fellow Latino might present it, in a very non-threatening way. It's all about fun. It's not about exclusivity. So that's something I want to do. But the specific varieties, I'm thinking about maybe a Portuguese blend, Tempranillo, or a Sauvignon Blanc, or maybe even all 3.
So I just want to tell you, Chris, that your story is inspirational, and the story that you told of the other older winemaker that was your mentor, that was inspirational, and I just wish you great success. Your wines are really delicious. So
thank you.
You have the base of success right there. I mean, and you're a great format yourself, and because you have passion. So
thank you.
It's good to see that.
Here's the Chris.
Hello to Chris.
Bravo.
But I'll tell you right now, you told us about the rosé, and we're loving it. We're really, so you need to keep making that, Chris, okay? Don't change it.
No.
Chris, even if it's just for me, it's okay. Just for me.
I'll make your own cake.
Thank you. All right, we're good. You know what, Chris? It's being recorded, okay? Fine.
Oh, all right. I wrote it down.
You know what? I don't know if you can hear.
You know what? Your wines, all of the three that we tasted tonight, and I'm sure I'll probably order the Bordeaux. They're really delicious. They're really delicious.
Does Bertha or Angela have any questions?
Yes, I actually just wanted to say that I would love to hear more once you start that wine club. I know I would love to be a part of that and just get something different that I can try and something that I can share with family and friends. So really excited for that. And thank you so much for this. This wine was delicious. I really appreciate it. I love hearing your story. Very inspirational. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bertha. I appreciate that.
We love the wine. It's really good.
Down in Long Beach.
Perfect.
So I'm having to cook something for me and pair it with the white one. It's really good.
What does the comadre think?
Awesome.
She's loving it.
All right.
She's loving it. Love it.
Out here, so you've got you're part of our familia. Welcome to our familia, and we certainly appreciate the wine and appreciate you, and we're definitely going to get you out there to make you a tremendous success story, because you're your own competitor in Lodi. So, you're your own competitor. Nobody else is in there. Everybody in Napa can stay in Napa, but in Lodi, it's all you. So we appreciate you. We want to salute you. We want to thank you for your time today.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for your time today.
Hey, muchísimas gracias, man, to everyone. I appreciate it so much. If anyone has an Instagram, I'm at the number 6 Soles Vino. So at 6 Soles Vino, if you guys can take a picture of you guys enjoying the wine, I think that's been a big part of why other people buy. So if you could do me a favor, follow and add a picture that I could share, I would love that, please. Thank you.
Chris, thank you so much. If we want to appreciate everybody, and we'll see everybody again. So Chris, have a great weekend. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Adios.
Nos vemos.
Bye-bye. Prima. Bye, guys. Thank you. I love you guys.